We're gonna take this piece of junk Jetta and turn it into what the Fast and Furious car should have been.
I guess we're doing this again.
I've always thought it would be awesome to build a Fast and Furious Jetta. Since it's been done before, I knew we needed to go big to make it truly unique. There are lots of engines commonly put in VWs, like the VR6 engine we swapped into the Scirocco. But there's one swap I haven't seen before, and that's the 2.0T out of the Mark 7. The tunability of these engines makes it easy to get 300 to 400 horsepower out of them. And using a DSG transmission will allow lightning fast shifts, making this car super fast in a quarter mile. Modern cars have complicated systems that make swapping one of these engines and transmissions into a car extremely difficult. Only someone as unstable as me would take on this monumental task, and lucky for me, I have an equally unstable friend who agreed to do this project with me. This is going to be the first video in a 5-episode series sponsored by our friends at Liquimoly and Unitronic. The Fast and the Furious was hugely influential in the car world.
The Jetta in the movie had an anemic 115 horsepower and an automatic transmission. Inside this Jetta is the same 2-liter engine as the Fast and Furious car, it just looks a little different.
There's something about project cars that calm me down. So the plan is very simple. We're going to take the engine and transmission out of the Mark 7
and swap it into this Mark 3 Jetta to make it the truly fast and ultra furious car that it should have been.
So a few months ago when I set out to do this project, I started looking for a Jetta. Just about every Mark 3 Jetta on Facebook or Craigslist is a gigantic pile of shit. My only criteria for this car was that it was white and had a decent body with no rust. Eventually, I stumbled across this absolutely beautiful Jetta for a whopping $1,000. So let's say you found this bad boy on Facebook Marketplace and you go to somebody's house to check it out. You gotta start by hooking up the battery because it's disconnected. And the reason why it's disconnected is because when the car is just sitting, the right turn signal constantly stays on and will kill the battery. You have 3 keys, thrice on the key department. Let's try the Volkswagen key. Nope, not that one. Let's try a blank key. Turn it. Well, it doesn't start. Maybe you gotta push the clutch in to start it. It's gotta, nope. What's this button here do? Ah, that cranks it over, but the key wasn't on. Oh, hey, there it started. Listen to that baby purr. The tint on the car is mostly peeling off. Well, that's me peeling it off, but the clear coat is also peeling, kind of like the tint. Some places there's mirror tint, some places there's blue tint. Unlike the side and other side tint, this one is black, unlike the blue and or mirror tint. Because that's how you tint cars, apparently. You just, whatever you find laying in a dumpster, you just throw it on there. You think they just went behind a tint shop and then like just picked up scraps that they were throwing in the trash? Unclear if this is just wear and tear or if someone actually like roll painted this with a paint roller. It looks real bad. The paint on the bumper, the rest of the paint on the car, other than the fact clear coat's peeling, is actually looks normal old. Just like an old gate. Your parents have a really old bed? Overall, the body of this car, for a car that's this age, is decent, I would say. Needs paint, for sure. Needs a little bit of love. A lot of love. Oh, we also have a broken windshield. Someone was either super angry and they were yanking on that mirror, or they were trying to get it off. This bolster is so flat. I can feel the seat frame with my hand, legitimately. Headrests are in the back there. The back seat looks like someone had an accident in the rear seat here.
I didn't even see the headliner.
Oh, the headliner has been rewrapped in someone's spare picnic blanket. This is a mystery. I think this... Actually, let's go for a quick test drive. And as always, before you test drive a car, safety first. Nathan has no buckle, and I have no seat belt that moves. I guess he could try to use my buckle since I can't use it, you know. Oh my goodness.
Oh God, the brakes work before you send it at the gate?
Oh, it stops.
That's the one thing
Feel
it can
that? Yeah. I mean, the steering is, I would describe it as at minimum imprecise. When you turn to the right, it really doesn't do anything, see? Does it sound like Absolutely. I'm falling off of this seat because the bolster is so non-existent. I'm like falling off the edge. There's that too. So you don't want to go too fast. No seatbelt, and the seat is like a rocking chair. Turn signal situation of it flashing only turns on when you turn the key off. So you turn the key off and then it click, clock, click, clock, click. Also, if we take a gander in here, you can see this spring is not green. The ones up front are green. Not only does this car have cheap coilovers on it, it has two different sets of cheap coilovers on it. Further evidence that it was built from parts found in a dumpster outside of a 7-Eleven. Like any Mark III or any old car you're gonna deal with, you wanna look over it and see how much rust there is. And this car actually doesn't have that much rust on it. There's a little bit right here, a little bit right there. You would expect to see the rockers crushed on these cars. If you come around this side, you can see they're quite crushed under here. As you can see, this car needs a lot of work. We knew going into this build that if we wanted to make a 25-year-old Jetta nice, it would need basically everything. This is why we were not too picky with the car we selected. Now we need to find a Mark 7 GTI engine to put in this car. You might think you can go on eBay and just buy yourself a used engine, but we need a lot more than just an engine, which is why we are going shopping for a donor car. After scouring the internet and losing multiple Copart auctions, I finally secured this gorgeous GTI that was in a front-end collision. The car still ran and drove, so I knew this would be a perfect donor car. After some waiting, the tow truck driver finally arrived with our vehicle. Yeah, it's a carbon fiber wing. Let's see, we got some Frisbees, some sort of Italian drink. That's an interesting drink choice. You think we got an actual Italian's car? He was like an actual person from Italia. Listen. So you put this on your car and it rubs your paint off. And that's what it does. Because there's a lot of unknowns. That's why. It's like, hey, what are we gonna find? We know everything we need to know about Mark 7s.
It's kind of like reverse gambling.
Yes, it's like, no, it's just like gambling, actually. It's just like actual gambling. You pay money and you hope you get it back. Right now we're trying to open the hood on our brand new crashed used car.
We'll mess up that brand new headlight.
I know, I'm worried.
That headlight actually is okay. Yeah, hold on. Up.
Oh my gosh. So this little ball normally sits into a completed cup here. So this is the connection, but it feels like because the cable's probably like kinked, because it's got a kink in its neck. Oh, maybe hop off. Oh, I got it. I got it. You gotta hit the button though.
I did it. No, it's good.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've not taken the engine cover off. Does it have red coil packs?
No.
I feel like it does.
But if you have red coil packs, you don't put your engine cover back on.
Oh, that's a good point. Nathan might have had the point of points. No one can know if you have red coil packs when you put your engine cover back.
That fuel pump's awfully rusty.
Isn't it? Is it a Bobo one? Or is it? I've never seen one look like that. Seeing some of this stuff broken, it's just like, oh.
Have an expensive dollar. You just see cha-ching, 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 cha-ching. Fender, hood, headlight.
Core support.
Core support. It could be the frame rails here damaged.
Yeah.
If you're curious how damaged this car was and how much money it would take to fix it, Charles made a full breakdown on this GTI, which we will link to in the description below. We gotta cut this head bag out of here. Head bag. Drive me nuts. Ooh, the window doesn't go down all the way because the door is broken. This is a safety hazard driving like this. Please don't cut yourself.
I cut the headliner on accident.
That's all right. So what we're going to do is remove and unplug items from this car. We're going to continue to do so to make sure the car will still run. So for example, I'm going to start the car.
And I'm going to unplug this connector and the car is going to shut off. If the car doesn't run, that means we have to take that module and the associated wiring and put it in the Mark III. So the less of that we have to do, the easier this swap should be. I'm also gonna drop my first rhyme album pretty soon because that was some dope bars.
And he didn't even know it.
I know it now though. What we're doing now is we're just taking a handful of trim panels off so that we can get easy access to some of the major modules we're gonna start with, like the instrument cluster and the reader coil for the immobilizer.
This is the immobilizer recoil and we're gonna unplug it. It is for the immobilizer system, which prevents the car from starting for anti-theft purposes.
But there's other modules that also have immobilizer in it, so this is going to tell us whether we need to transfer that little reader coil over to the Mark III or not, and prevents your thefting of the engine control modulator.
It's unplugged.
Oh!
Oh, Jesus.
Oh my god. Oh my god. What happened?
That was amazing.
And we're back after some small technical difficulty with a light and some wipers ripping the light off the roof.
It's fine. It's fine. It's just, you know. It's
So, moment of truth. Our reed coil is unplugged. We're going to start the car and test to see if it's going to run.
That's a good sign.
Normally, a car like this would never start without the immobilizer components, but before we got started on this project, we sent our ECM to the guys over at Unitronic to put tune on it and to feed the immobilizer system in the engine computer.
If that didn't work, the car would start and then immediately shut off. So this is a really good sign. There we go.
There we go.
Yay. Hey, we're out of washer fluid, man. We really need to handle that.
Cluster.
Cluster has been eliminated from the equation.
Ready? Let's see if she goes.
Nothing.
Wait.
You got no key signal.
So,
Try and start.
we've identified...
Okay. Cut it off. We're gonna need a way around that.
This is a Mark III cluster, this is a Mark 7 cluster. We just wanted to put them side by side to get a rough idea if we think it was even possible to put the guts from this inside of this, and my guess kind of says yes. Take a look. It's one giant circuit board.
Oh man, I don't know. That's close. Move your hand on this side. Like if you trim some of this out, maybe?
I think we could do it, and it might bulge out the back a little bit, so.
Behind the glove box here is our access start module. I think this is gonna be another one that we're gonna have to have. So as soon as Paul plugs the cluster in, I'm gonna unplug this and see what happens. Unplugged. Who also?
No key in range, see owner's manual.
Okay.
Well, it's possible, so here's the deal. The thing about, they blew off their paddles. Here's the deal.
Here's the deal. That light is.
Here's the deal.
It's his halo.
Here's the deal.
What's the deal with that?
All of this stuff is a lot of control modules that were never intended to fit inside of an old car. Old cars do not accept 14 modules inside the dash super easily, and he and I would then have to rewire that whole car to add all these modules to it. That is a complicated process that we are trying to avoid as much as possible. ABS module unplugged, trying to start.
Put it in gear and see if it'll. Oh,
Did that scare you?
it did.
Scared me a little too.
It really did.
Let's see if
That dash.
Oh, we're probably not gonna be able to have launch control though, right?
No.
All right, so we got no launch control for sure, but it did seem to go through all the gears.
We did ABS. We so far don't need it. J519 is the vehicle electrics module.
If you've ever coated taillights from us, you did it in the 519 module.
It's a pretty major player for the car, but I don't think we're gonna have a problem not having it.
This is why we do this, boys and girls, because you wouldn't think you'd need a steering column lock just to start a car, but guess what? You do. Ha! The trim piece is not really getting treated well right now.
Not at all. Sorry.
Someone's stabbing it with a screwdriver. Sorry. I'm really particular about my cars too.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's out of the way.
If I wanted to be a Neanderthal and just tear it to pieces, I would have done it myself.
I was trying not to, and you're like, here, break the crap out of this. There we go. All right, no 519. No key in range. That's a problem.
Charles and I were working on discovering exactly what we thought we needed to bypass the 519 module. We believe we've done it. I am going to take my first attempt at jumping this fuse. If we are right,
That's a big fat if.
that's a big if, we should be able to jump this and then start the car.
Oh, we're hot wiring this car. Actually, that's not really too far off.
We
of what
actually
we're
are
trying
kind
to
of
do.
hot wiring it. All right, take a shot.
Key on. Starter system faulty. No key in range.
3:28 a.m.
The last thing you saw was probably a few hours ago.
There was only one small fire, and I think that's pretty good.
We are now tomorrow.
We are now tomorrow.
Okay, yeah.
That's a man that's tired.
We are now tomorrow.
now tomorrow.
This is the kind of excellence we're working with here. Needed, tested.
It looks like everything is needed and everything is tested.
This was our stage 1. Tomorrow we do stage 2.
So it is the next day. We are going to get started on work on the car. We have changed course.
Skirt.
Our plan at this point is we're going to strip the interior of the car.
Seats out, dash out, center console out, steering wheel out, more stuff out.
The idea for us is to get all of the wiring, the control modules, everything from inside of the car electrically outside of the car.
Here's the majority of harness for the inside of the MK7 GTI, which really, if you think about it, it's a lot less than you might think. But
First thing I'm gonna do on this harness is cut back all the tape that not only holds it together, but also kind of holds its routing position. That'll give us access to go through each individual wire, which is gonna be a lot of wires to figure out what we don't need and what we do need, and then we'll tape it back up and make it look all sexified. The best way to do that is with a seam ripper that you steal from your grandma's sewing kit. You gotta make sound effects though.
If you look, laid out here is a bunch of control modules, connectors, wiring. This is the entire interior, the front of the car, outside. Now, it seems like we know what we're doing.
We know what we're doing.
We basically know what we're doing, but even though that's true and we have wiring diagrams and access to all the information, this entire process is completely terrifying. We are afraid that we're going to cut a bunch of wires out, and then when we're done and we've finished, the car no longer runs. Individually by a component, we find a component we know we don't need, we trace it back to where it's going, we cut it out, and then we can remove it completely from the car. For example, these are the connectors for the 12-volt outlets in the center console of a MK7. This is the front one, this is the rear one. We can remove these completely because we don't need them. So as you see, there's this group of wires, there's 4 of them. So what you have to do is trace them back through the harness, and as you can see, if I move it here, it's wiggling over here. And what I'm gonna do is take the wires, cut them. You can trace them back through the harness and then pull it out and then keep going further back until you find its end point. So this red and green wire right here ends at the fuse panel back here, and all we're gonna do is clip it at the end at the fuse panel, and we just leave this hanging just in case we need it later, and then we can just pull it on out. Not used to pulling out, but that's how I got all my kids. We have one less of all of this mess of wires, so we continue that process over and over and over and over and over and over until you only have what you need.
We've already cut all of this out. We should make a robot man
Like
out
Charles
of
for scale.
this. Oh hey, I need this quad lock, by the way.
I needed that. Last time you saw us,
It looked exactly like this.
it looked a lot like this because we ran into exactly what we were afraid of, which is, but the car wouldn't run anymore.
Yeah. We had kind of a slow decline of start, run for a second, shut off, then extended crank, then crank no start.
There's just something about wiring that calms me down.
These wires. Try it now. Try it now.
Other than not starting, it's also doing this thing where this coolant pump is running constantly, which is real neat. It also does this.
We've ran through as much as we can without going super deep in the engine. We've kind of retraced a lot of our steps through the wiring. We've scan tooled it, we've wiring diagrammed it, and I think we're both just brain tired. So much to the point of I couldn't draw a question mark. So it came out of 2. It took me 3 tries to get that. It's not very good. I had to do it twice to prove that I knew how to do it.
Dude, why are there twos all over everything? We were hoping by the end of today that the engine was gonna be ready to come out.
Yeah, so we're at the point of, is this self-induced, which is
Probably the case.
pretty reasonable, or are we having a problem with a module that we would have had anyway, or some combination of deleting something, eliminating something, causing a cascade of problems elsewhere?
There's nothing about this that calms me down.
Yeah.
The next day we decided to pull the engine out of the Mark III Jetta, partly because it has to come out anyway, and we wanted to feel like we accomplished something instead of chasing our tail on wiring. While removing an engine from a car normally sounds like a difficult task, this is going to be one of the easiest things we're gonna do on this project. Mostly because we don't have to care about any of the parts that are coming out because they're going straight in the trash.
Oh gosh.
You got any attention on that?
Not enough. As always with a project like this, we're gonna start by draining all of our fluids, disconnecting all our hoses, lines, and cables. Then we're gonna unbolt the engine and transmission and pull both of them out the front of the vehicle. Now that our engine is out of our Mark III, we need an engine to put back in it. Unfortunately, we can't pull the engine out of this Mark 7 until we get it running again. So Charles and I got to work at backtracking all the wiring we cut and removed to try to pinpoint the issue. After 15 to 20 hours of tracing wires, staring at wiring diagrams, and painful diagnostic, we finally found this. If you look, this is basically where we left off. We're in the exact same place where we left off, although the car now starts again. And the reason why the car starts is because we discovered what we f***ed up. So let me cover that with you. So the first mistake I believe I made, but I'm not positive, is right here at the rear C-pillar. We had made the assumption at the time that these were not important wires. And the reason why is because they went to taillights and all kinds of other stuff. And we looked into it and we were like, okay, we don't need these. Well, this is a fuel pump for the car. And one of those grounds, as you can see the one we've created here, is what we cut. And so what happens, the way electricity works, is if it doesn't have a ground, it doesn't work. So we had no fuel pump because we cut it out of the car. Then because we didn't follow the proper diagnostic process, which is start with simple stuff, air, spark, fuel, see what you have, we assumed that we made a mistake in the wiring, which we actually were correct, we did. But we would have discovered that we had no fuel earlier on, and then we would have checked the fuel pump and discovered why we had no fuel had we checked it properly in the first place. Instead, we spent hours and hours tracing down wires through different places, and that's why we made no progress, is because we had nothing to find. We started the car previously, but now you can see all the components and wiring is outside of the car, and you just gotta do this. Listen to that baby purr. Yeah, all the R's. Now we're gonna go back to eliminating all these components altogether from the system and make the car start. During the process of studying the wiring diagrams, we believe we discovered a way to make the engine run with almost no control modules inside the car. If this works, this would be the ideal setup for our engine swap because it would simplify everything as much as possible. So we are unplugging components. All of them is the plan. This is a black and purple wire, essentially what you would consider to be like the wake up signal for all the control modules in the car. It goes to everything. Watch what's gonna happen. See? Everything's waking up. Wake up!
And then the next thing we're gonna do is jump a couple of other wires that should simulate you turning the ignition or pushing the button to the crank position.
Did you just get shocked?
No, I did make a lot of sparks and scared myself though.
There we go. You see it scared him?
Hey! We did it!
Okay, now how do we shut it off?
Like this?
Like that. Okay. Well, that's dope.
Problem solved.
Problem solved.
Well, no, like,
So here,
Solve the problem,
while Paul reminisces
solved.
about Peg Plus Cat, which is also one of my favorite shows that is a kid's show, we basically hotwired the car bypassing all of this. So we bypass the immobilizer, we bypass the steering column lock. But this is huge. Like, this is really big.
This is the body control module. We've duplicated the signals we need from this. We're gonna take the harness, we're gonna cut back the entire section of it. Then we're gonna start the car to make sure it still starts. And we're gonna do that systematically to avoid the problem that we previously just had, the worst case scenario for this entire project that we lost 2 days to.
One connector down.
Here we have it, boys and girls. One connector down.
8,000 to go.
Yeah. I don't need to check this one because this is a headlight connector, and we know you don't need a headlight.
Race cars don't need headlights because the track is always lit.
We are not intending on getting our hopes up in any way whatsoever, because we will shoot ourselves directly in the leg like we're Plaxico Burress at a strip club.
Yeah, that happened once to a guy. Here we go, firing.
There is our HVAC.
Here's an octopus.
You don't need turn signals or?
No, we're not planning on turning in this car. Yeah. This car is gonna be so furious that it's just gonna go straight line. So here is all the wires we removed from the car, or at least most of them. And here is the wires we're keeping from the car.
It's not a lot of them.
As you can see, this is the necessity to make the car run. Now that we eliminated all of our wiring, we're ready to take our engine out, or at least that's as ready as we're gonna be. Now, because we already took the front end of this car apart in another video we did with Charles, and also had the exhaust off, this is gonna take us a very short period of time to take out of the car.
4 minutes.
4 minutes. You're making my floor dirty. The DSG oil that came out of this is gorgeous. This guy's car, I assumed, was maintained like trash, and this is proof otherwise. What happens with these sway bar links is a lot of times you'll loosen them and then the whole thing will spin, and then like you could put a tool in this side and whatever, but like, you know.
Oh my god. You know, I forgot we loosened all the fuel lines before we did that.
That's all right. They're at least a few inches away.
One. It smells like a fart over here, by the way. 3. Oh.
In our next video, we figure out how to get this Mark 7 engine into our Mark 3, modify the car for an intercooler and a radiator, get a custom axles made, and see if we can make a Mark 7 intake and air duct fit in our Jetta. Once again, big thanks to our main sponsors, Liquimoly and Unitronic. Also, thank you to everyone else listed here who has contributed to this project in some way. And if you want our shop DAP repair to build you one of these things, you can absolutely forget about it. They specialize in Volkswagen Audi repair, maintenance, diagnostic, and performance, and they are not going to build you a car like this one.